much. Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befrie, e nene yara binila, too much.
Nama fie dili yere laba. Nama fie ne yere namifo. Niana moko fie ne rusile doki. Ahaha, il est de l'amour comme ça. Niana moko fie. Soro fale moso nyuma na osikote. No 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 no. Nekona ne ile de lefe. Iduma yente nya iko. Ankano ikana wakanto. Ane la muduku maso. Yo sakene moso.
Tell me amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much. Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much. E nene yara binila, too much.
Nama fie ne yere nanifo. Niana moko fie. Kode ofonye. Ahaha, il est de l'amour comme ça. Ninde buruye kodonyini. Sankado ikana wakanto. Ane l'amour comme ça. Yo sakende moso.
Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much. Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much. Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much.
Nebi fe debi le ko.
Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much.
Nebi fe debi le fe.
Je t'aime, mi amore, meni befie, e nene yara binila, too much.
freedom of expression in America put to the test, which is ironic since Charlie Kirk, whose killing has sparked a Trumpian crackdown, called himself a free speech advocate.
Today, we witness in real time how the promise of never again is broken.
The list grows longer. The United Nations adds its name to those calling Israel's assault on Gaza a genocide. And voices from across the divide. The effect the new Trump administration has had on the war between Russia and Ukraine. It's been just over a week now since the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And in death, as he was in life, the far-right podcaster and MAGA influencer is proving divisive. While Kirk's supporters mourned his death, many Americans chose that moment to critique him and what he represented. Such expressions can be controversial, but they do fall under the protections of the U.S. Constitution, just not apparently in Donald Trump's America. His administration has clamped down on what it deems to be hate speech emanating from the left, a crackdown that has already cost journalists, academics, even a comedian their jobs. Meanwhile, multiple MAGA voices have rushed to blame left-wing radicalism for Kirk's murder. That is a story unto itself. But at the time of this recording, there is just too much speculation out there on the killer's motives and not enough proof. So we will leave the drawing of conclusions on that to others. What we do know, far-right leaders from D.C. to London to Tel Aviv have all seized on Kirk's death, weaponizing his polarizing legacy for their own political purposes, even if that means dialing up the temperature in what is a volatile time in America. Turning up the heat. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is a story that, at its core, is about political violence, polarization, and the burgeoning importance of podcasts in American politics. The victim made his name, for the most part, through podcasts. Both the FBI director in charge of the murder investigation, Kash Patel, and his deputy, Dan Bongino, did the same.
This is the Charlie Kirk Show.
And right after Kirk's killing, Vice President J.D. Vance paid tribute to him by guest hosting his podcast, sending a clear message to Kirk's audience.
We need to grieve, but we also need this courage in this moment more than we've ever needed it.
Charlie Kirk was very influential, particularly among young conservatives, where it signaled the value that this administration placed on that show and the host and his role in connecting them to a number of people.
We call the shots, not the media, not the oligarchs, not Washington, D.C.
Charlie Kirk was a get out the vote machine. And the administration's response to Kirk's death has been oriented towards the fact that he was so important, not just at a media level, but at an organizational level for the Republican electoral process.
Charlie Kirk initially did that through Turning Point USA, a conservative political movement he founded in 2012 when he was just 18.
Absolutely. I mean, we're starting chapters nationwide with Turning Point USA.
In 2020, he took to podcasting through Turning Points Live, targeting young Republicans. Kirk racked up huge numbers while attracting reams of criticism from the left over the content he was churning out on the stories of the day.
I mean, Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled Alzheimer's corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison. And
often, Kirk railed against the cancel culture he blamed liberals for inflicting on the U.S. media space, defending the right to free speech, even when it was hateful.
The cancel culture never comes from a mass amount of people. It's always a small, angry, venomous kind of just group of keyboard warriors.
So what would Charlie Kirk make of the canceling now coming from the other side? The Trump administration and its followers going after Americans, journalists, academics, getting them fired, threatening them with arrest for daring to question Kirk's track record posthumously.
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
And what would he make of a news organization like the Washington Post capitulating and firing its only black columnist, Karen Attiah?
When we look at these these firings, and I think we should understand them as purgings. Karen Attiah at the Washington Post, the language that she used to describe the killing of Charlie Kirk, she says she's not going to mourn it. That's her right. And then she did a little bit of sort of media criticism at the performance of almost enforced grief happening right now. And for that, she was fired.
For people who do not want to see a diversity of reactions around Charlie Kirk's death, the firing of that journalist was its own cause for celebration. Charlie Kirk said many cruel things about women, and he seemed to have a particular level of...
Okay, if there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix. Now, this whole flow is a conversation, so your words actually build your website. I'm going for a store. And after a free-flowing conversation, I get this detailed site brief. And just like that, my first draft is ready. Now, that's dope. Next, you can really get in there and style it your way. Here's the fun part. You can regenerate this whole thing over and over, or you can tweak something specific, like your layout. Let me describe what I had in mind. Yeah, that's fire. If there was ever a time to speak life into your dreams, it's right now using the Wix AI website builder.
At Grainger, we have over 1 million products, including the ones that help keep your workplace safe and sound. Shop our vast inventory of safety products at Grainger.com. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
For what Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán called an international hate campaign. But the first foreign leader to appear on the U.S. airwaves on the topic was Benjamin Netanyahu.
He wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, "One of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization."
The part Netanyahu left out was Kirk's view of America's unrelenting support for Israel had turned. And as a result, he came under pressure from Israel's backers to toe the line.
I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite.
We know that over time, Kirk had moved away from the position of supporting Israel specifically in its assault on Gaza and the Palestinian genocide. So it's interesting that Netanyahu would pick up on some old comments that Kirk had made and try to spin them into a support for not only the state of Israel, but also for Benjamin Netanyahu himself.
First, let me say Charlie Kirk was a tremendous friend of Israel.
We see another opportunist in a political office just taking advantage of a crisis to really amplify his own message.
It is so important that Israel maintains strong support, not only from the White House, but from the American people. And the young left is just absolutely devastated by this war and very, very, very opposed to it. And increasingly, the young right was having problems with this war and starting also to criticize it. And so getting the right wing and the social media influencers on the side of Israel is going to be very important for Netanyahu and for Israel. And Netanyahu knows that.
Netanyahu, like Trump, has a certain political acumen. So Netanyahu understands that he has to get in line, say the right things about Kirk. And, it's not just public statements. Look at the news coverage. There are pictures of Kirk being projected onto the sides of buildings in Tel Aviv to make sure that the government is identifying itself with Kirk and consolidating its support among Kirk's followers.
Donald Trump is using this moment to settle some scores as well. When asked by a reporter for ABC News, a network that has already succumbed to legal pressure from Trump, how his Attorney General Pam Bondi can target hate speech when so many Republicans call it free speech, like Charlie Kirk did, he chose to threaten the reporter.
He'd probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC.
24 hours later, ABC pulled its late-night comedy host, Jimmy Kimmel, off the air indefinitely for mocking the president's reaction to Kirk's murder.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how
Donald Trump's formula: intimidation verging on authoritarianism, mixed with elements of distraction. Trump has good reason to divert Americans away from other issues. Everything from a faltering economy to the specter of the Epstein files, the existential threat they could pose to his presidency should they be made public.
I disagree with the argument that the mobilization of grief is an attempt to distract America from the real issues. They are sincere in their authoritarianism. It's not a put on. MAGA already is using this event as a catalyst for a rapid expansion of power. And I want us as journalists to turn our attention to resisting that expansion of power.
But the American media is not also really set up to cover extremism. So that's another problem. And a lot of people inside American journalism are trying to figure out ways to better share what's going on. But it's not easy. If you think that we are in perilous times here and the people are scared, you're getting the right impression. There's a tremendous amount of fear right now.
This week, as the UN formally declared what Palestinians have been saying for so long, that Israel is committing a genocide, Israeli forces launched the invasion to seize Gaza City. Israeli cabinet ministers aren't even bothering to hide their intention to raze the city to the ground and empty it of its people. Ryan Coles is here with more.
Israel's response to the charge of genocide has at this point become rather predictable, even formulaic. It says the UN is advancing Hamas propaganda, a charge UN officials are pretty dismissive of.
Honestly, the Israeli responses are becoming so boring. You know, they say the same thing every time. They're producing the responses by ChatGPT these days, and they spend so much money in the foreign ministry on propaganda. You think that they would actually come up with something original.
And just as Israeli leaders try to deny they are committing genocide, they also keep offering up more evidence of their own genocidal intent. Throughout the past 2 years, a noticeable pattern has emerged. When speaking in English to Western media, Israeli officials have been careful, choosing to use moderate language. But when speaking in Hebrew, the mask falls off. This week, Defense Minister Israel Katz shared this video celebrating the destruction of a university in Gaza. Institutions like these are protected under international humanitarian law, but he called it a source of incitement and terror. Minister for National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir also shared videos of Israel's systematic destruction of buildings in Gaza City, boasting that Israel is pressing ahead with, quote, all our might. Knesset member Itzhak Kreuzer went further, branding Palestinians as Nazis and stating that there is no other way but to destroy and eliminate them. These calls for the erasure of Palestinian people, their homes, and institutions leave little doubt about Israel's goal: the annihilation of Palestinian existence. The UN Genocide Convention has two elements to identify a genocide: intention and execution. Intention can be harder to prove, but Israeli officials have repeatedly made it easy through their own words. And with Palestinians live streaming the death and destruction around them, there is no doubt about the extent of the execution of genocide in Gaza.
Thanks, Ryan. Turning now to another war zone and the effect the Trump administration is having on the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Trump's second term in office has injected plenty of unpredictability into the mix, unsettling Kiev, allowing Moscow more room for maneuver, and forcing the media on both sides to recalibrate. The Trump effect has also provided the Russian military with a boost, while Ukraine is struggling on two fronts, military and diplomatic, the support it gets from its allies. To get a better feel for where this story is at and where it's going, we spoke with a Russian journalist in exile and a Ukrainian media scholar. Now, many Ukrainians we tried to interview declined to share screen space with a Russian, but the two voices you will hear have consented to appear together. They unpack how the media in Ukraine and Russia are grappling with Trump, the war he claims to be mediating, plus what Ukrainians and Russians are expecting, even dreading, will happen next.
Propaganda has always been a crucial weapon for Putin, a cornerstone for his authority, and of course even more so since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022.
Владимир Путин на Петербургском форуме, как мы слышали, подчеркнул очевидное. Мы же один народ с украинцами. Поэтому, если смотреть с точки зрения нашего исторического единства, вся Украина наша.
The return of Donald Trump to the White House has forced Russian propaganda machine to adapt, to make changes to the standard narrative, when the usual picture was that it is the evil West which is trying to ruin and destroy Russia. And this image had to be altered to accommodate a figure like Trump.
Трамп представляет вот этот мир реалий, мир ощущений, который базируется в том числе и на простых традиционных ценностях.
Donald Trump has been quite a disrupting presence. Before he was re-elected, he had really emphasized the prospects for peace.
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine totally settled. I'll have it done in 24 hours.
Ukrainian media were quite optimistic about Trump. Every small tweet of his was reported. His inauguration became a real media event. But 9 months have passed, and what we see now is fatigue. Trump bombards the world with his social media posts and his random statements, but very little has actually moved.
A wave of Russian drones and missiles.
The attacks came despite Donald Trump this very week imposing a new deadline. Even as the Trump administration looks to move the peace process forward.
No mention of a ceasefire or severe sanctions.
We cover this war and Russia from the outside, but for us it's obvious, it's clear that Putin and the Kremlin have learned how to deal with Trump and his unpredictability. A simple rule that they have adopted is never criticize Trump. I would say that they have learned this rule fully after the NATO summit in June, when Trump found himself quite receptive to some of the European proposals and started to criticize Putin.
Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult.
Russian media reacted quite angrily, which we know that doesn't help Russia's case in Washington.
Поговорить о том, как проходит саммит НАТО в Гааге. Проходит он, правда, пока, тухловатенько, я бы сказал.
So, since then, instead of counterattacking Trump when Trump attacks Putin, Russian propaganda machine came out with a different solution. Whenever Trump says something inconvenient about Putin or Russia, Russian mainstream media would simply cut out any reference to Putin. For example, Trump would often post something online about Russia-Ukraine war, and in these posts he would often criticize both Zelensky and Putin, as he often does, but only the quote about Zelensky would make its way to Russian news, and Russian propaganda would highlight it, would embrace it, would repeat it, but the stuff about Putin won't be referred to. It will be simply censored. Ultimately, the major propaganda message at home in Russia is that there are two peacemakers who actually really want to end this conflict. And those two men of peace are Putin and Trump. When Putin and Trump met in Alaska in August, Russian media was full of joy and pride.
Уровень приема фантастический. Но я просто реально не могу вспомнить, когда американский президент не только бы с ковровой красной дорожкой, но и лично встречал у Трампа.
The main message was that Putin cannot and never will be isolated, celebrating the fact that all attempts to isolate Putin have failed, with a natural triumphal follow-up later in September in China.
Рука об руку, глаза в глаза. Что за принципы глобального управления обсуждают в Китае дракон, слон и медведь?
Putin's goal in his game with Trump is clear. He already learned, he already knows that he cannot recruit Trump and flip him over and have him as his full-scale loyal ally. But he can learn how to master Trump and how to outplay Trump. He can take advantage of the lack of expertise on Ukraine in Trump's team and persuade him in legitimacy of his demands. Ultimately, the major victory for Putin politically and in terms of optics and propaganda is that he deals with Trump as his peer. And Russian media really pushes that. Putin and Trump are new Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin of our times. They reshape the world and they decide the future of Ukraine and the future of Europe, for that matter. That's the story that Russian media keeps pushing.
Ukrainian journalists have had to find a way to understand and report on someone like Donald Trump. He's an unpredictable man, someone who talks big but doesn't deliver that much, and most importantly, someone who doesn't really understand the true nature of the war Ukraine has been fighting.
You know, Ukraine is being just wiped out. Look at what's happening to the cities. There are cities, there's not even a building standing.
Undeniably, the most shocking political and media moment between Trump and Zelensky happened at the meeting at the Oval Office in February 2022.
It's an honor to have President Zelensky.
The whole thing began quite normally, and then it just exploded.
No, you've done a lot of talking.
First journalists that covered it didn't know how to react, so there was a lot of shock, even confusion.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. You either get a deal or we're out.
Once the surprise had worn off, there was a lot of anger. Many Ukrainian journalists felt that the victim of the war was being scolded and made look ungrateful.
If you didn't have our military equipment.
There are many people in Ukraine, including many journalists, who have their criticisms of Zelensky. But what happened with Trump really made people think. It was a moment when we realized how vulnerable we are right now.
Мають усвідомити, що мова йде не про персонально Зеленського, що мова йде про атаку на інституцію і про атаку на українську державність.
All the anger online was contrasted to some extent with the realization in Ukraine's mainstream media. Trump often lashes out at any criticism. Anything could spark a backlash. So after the initial shock, television coverage soon became more careful.
Отже, кадри, які безперечно увійдуть в історію, суперечка президентів в Білому домі.
Of course, here in Ukraine, we aren't just watching how Trump deals with our leaders, but also with others, especially Putin and Russia. And what we saw in Alaska was just a confirmation of what we were anxious about.
Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Mainstream outlets, the big Ukrainian television channels, attempted to provide a reserved, neutral coverage, but you could still sense the bitterness, especially when the red carpet was rolled out for Putin, but also the warm handshake, the pat on the shoulder. Those were small gestures, but they generated a lot of attention and a lot of criticism here in Ukraine.
Усіма своїми жестами демонстрував, що він хоче з ізоляції витягнути Путіна, що терориста він хоче зробити своїм другом.
The follow-up meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders helped calm some nerves. There were no clashes, and it almost felt uneventful, especially compared to the awful meeting in the Oval Office in February. But still, that meeting also reinforced the question that is hanging over all of us. Is Trump committed, and to what extent is he committed to enabling Europe to stay united on Ukraine?
And finally, back to Israel's indefensible ground invasion of Gaza City. Thousands more Palestinians have been forced from their homes yet again, and the journalists amongst them have been documenting the story, some on social media, about how dystopian this moment is to be expelled from your home while under fire from airstrikes, gunfire, and drones. But there are also some journalists who say they refuse to leave.
شمال غزة لن أغادره، لن أكون عونا لجيش الاحتلال في تهجير أهلي وناسي.
For those journalists, there is no safe place to go. The choice comes down to displacement or death. And yet some remain, the last remaining eyes and ears on this genocide. And their own stories will outlive them. and outlive the genocidal acts that Israel is inflicting on Palestinians.
In-depth analysis of the day's headlines.
How are you perceived by Israelis? I'm considered insane.
Critical debate.
We need to listen to our citizens. We need to speak to our citizens.
Informed opinions.
Do you think that this is ever going to translate into a shift in policy?
Yes, I believe so. When the opinion of the American public translates into results of elections.
Inside Story on Al Jazeera.
Deep in the Brazilian Amazon, the Ashaninka are inspiring global environmental action.
They're pushing on a number of fronts to bring the attention of the world to what is going on here.
Through cultural revival and environmental stewardship, their efforts honor ancestral traditions while shaping a sustainable future for the planet.
Thousands of trees planted here. All that work is just mind-blowing.
Earthrise, we are nature. Message from the Amazon on Al Jazeera.
October on Al Jazeera.
Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced millions. Al Jazeera continues to report from inside Gaza.
Global Warning examines the real consequences of climate change and the possible solutions to safeguard the planet.
Voters in Ivory Coast head to the polls amid deep divisions and uncertainty, with many opposition candidates barred from the race.
Fault Lines investigates the unlawful detention of pediatrician Dr. Abu Safia and Israel's targeting of Gaza's healthcare system.
US President Donald Trump is set to attend the Association of Southeast Asian
President of the General Assembly, the Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I congratulate Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock on her election as President of the General Assembly to lead this historic 80th session of the General Assembly. I thank her predecessor, His Excellency Filmo Young, for his distinguished leadership during the 79th session. I commend the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, for his steadfast commitment to the ideas of the United Nations during these increasingly turbulent times. Madam President, it's both a solemn responsibility to address this assembly on the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. This assembly is not just ceremonial. It is a call for the world's conscience to act with unity, determination, and vision. Our theme, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights, both celebrates and summons. It reminds us that cooperation delivers progress. It also demands that we reimagine multilateralism so that peace, dignity, and equality are not promises on paper, but realities in the lives of people. This anniversary is not a time for complacency, but for courageous renewal. Today, we face deepening inequalities, climate crises, geopolitical fragmentation, technological disruptions, and entrenched conflict. No nation can meet these challenges alone. We need bold multilateralism and a united nations that is not only reformed, but reinvigorated. The UN must be more than a meeting place. It must be a working place for people, for peace, and for our planet. Madam President, Sierra Leone is a small state that has relied heavily on the United Nations Charter and our helps to uphold it. We speak with independence and conviction because we have lived the cost of its absence. I also serve as chair of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government and coordinator of the African Union Committee of 10 Heads of State and Government on Security Council Reform, C10. For both myself and the people of Sierra Leone, these roles are not just titles, they are responsibilities. They reflect Sierra Leone's conviction that principled multilateralism is the surest defense of law, equity, and peace. Since 1945, the Charter's promise of sovereign equality, non-aggression, and human dignity have been the bedrock of small states like ours. In 1961, when Sierra Leone first addressed this assembly, our founding Prime Minister, Sir Milton Magai, pledged that our voice would be independent and principled, guided not by bitterness, but by conviction. That pledge remains our compass. We stand for justice and self-determination. We speak truth. We speak truth to power and act in defense of humanity and the rule of law. Small states are not inherently small. Our sovereignty is equal and our responsibilities are the same. Leadership is not the loudest voice in the room.
Let me show you how I turned $2,000 into $30,000 using tax lien real estate investing. This is a type of real estate investment that only requires as little as a few.
It is the clearest voice for justice. Madam President, our current term on the UN Security Council has deepened these convictions. Guided by the Charter, we have championed peace through dialogue, upheld international law, and promoted prevention as the first duty of collective security. We have supported efforts to stabilize Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, de-escalated tensions in the Middle East, and supported political transition in Lebanon and Syria for peace and stability. We have also seen the Security Council's limits, its paralysis in the face of grave human suffering. Nowhere has this failure been heart-wrenching than in Gaza. A preventable genocide was not prevented. Mass starvation that could have been avoided was not avoided. A broadly supported two-state solution has been obstructed by division and inaction. We therefore welcome all member states that have recently announced their long overdue recognition of the State of Palestine. Yet, much more remains to be done. We must bring an end to the war and ensure the release of all hostages and prisoners. Sierra Leone has not wavered. We have spoken with independence, voted with principle, and pressed for urgent action to end atrocities and revive hope. We say again, ceasefire now in Gaza. Ceasefire now in Sudan. Ceasefire now in Ukraine. These are not just slogans. They are calls to conscience, calls to action. In fact, they are echoes of the UN's founding pledge to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. A veto should never be a verdict against humanity. Madam President, across the world, the UN's authority and legitimacy are being tested. Selective adherence to international law, disregard for Security Council and General Assembly resolutions, deprivation of funding, attacks on peacekeepers and humanitarian workers, disinformation that corrodes trust, and over-reliance on unilateral action. For countries like Sierra Leone, this is not an abstract debate. We know what a working United Nations means. At our darkest hour, during one of the most brutal civil wars in modern history, the UN stood by our side. The United Nations missions in Sierra Leone, UNAMSI, one of the largest peacekeeping operations of its time, helped disarm over 75,000 combatants, restore civilian governance, support democratic elections. The Special Court for Sierra Leone and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, both backed by the United Nations, ensured justice and reconciliation. When the United Nations Integrated Peacebuilding Office in Sierra Leone closed in 2014, it signaled something rare in our world: a successful transition from war to peace. We saw blue helmets on our streets. We saw ballot papers returned to citizens' hands. We saw our nation breathe again. When the UN works, lives are saved. When it fails, lives are lost. We must ensure the UN delivers for all. And to do so, we must respect and implement UN decisions. Protect those who serve under the United Nations flag. Invest in prevention and peace building. And reform the Security Council so its authority and legitimacy match today's world. The United Nations cannot protect vulnerable people. if it cannot protect its own authority. As a nation, Sierra Leone does its part and contributes troops to peacekeeping missions. We serve as elected Security Council member and offer our experience in peace building to the world. Sierra Leone's story is proof that multilateral solidarity works when it is grounded in trust, mutual respect, and genuine investment in national ownership. Madam President, peace is inseparable from development. In Sierra Leone, our medium-term national development aligned with the SDGs and the African Union's Agenda 2063 prioritizes people-centered growth. We are transforming our agricultural sector to ensure food security. We are investing in a digital economy that fosters inclusion and innovation. We are deepening investment in human capital development through free quality education and in healthcare, particularly maternal and child health. We are expanding renewable energy to support industrialization and climate resilience. Climate change is an existential threat to Sierra Leone. Our greenhouse gas emissions are negligible. Yet, our people and our wide coast bears the cost through erosion, flooding, and pressure on food systems and fisheries. We have mainstreamed climate adaptation and strengthened disaster preparedness. In fulfillment of the commitment made at the Third United Nations Oceans Conference, Sierra Leone has ratified the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Treaty, BBNG. As the 60th state to deposit its instrument of ratification, Sierra Leone is proud of the collective endeavor to trigger the entry into force of the BBNG Treaty, a historic milestone for multilateralism and the collective stewardship of our ocean commons. We urge all countries to do the same, so the high seas and areas are governed by common good. Climate justice is not charity. It is a legal and moral responsibility. If the poorest are left to pay the highest climate price, there is no justice. Developed nations must honor their commitments. $100 billion per year in climate finance, technology transfer, and capacity building. We welcome the International Court of Justice advisory opinion on climate change, affirming states' obligation to prevent environmental harm and to protect future generations. In that spirit, Sierra Leone is proud to present the candidature of Professor Dr. Charles Cherno Jallow to the International Court of Justice, a distinguished jurist and tireless advocate for the rule of law. We respectfully solicit the support of all member states in the November 12 elections this year. Madam President, as chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, I proudly note our community's 50th anniversary. For 5 decades, ECOWAS has embodied regional integration and collective security. Often,
That was the president was President Dio of Sierra Leone. So this morning we will be coming up with song.
Je suis un noir, ma peau est blanche. moi j'aime bien ça. C'est la rivière qui est jolie. Je suis un blanc, mon sang est noir, et moi j'adore ça. C'est la différence qui est jolie. Je voudrais que nous entendions l'amour, que nous comprenions dans l'amour et dans la paix. La vie sera belle, et la vie sera belle. La vie sera belle, chacun à son tour aura son amour. La vie sera belle, la vie sera belle. La vie sera belle, chacun dans le monde aura son bonheur. La vie sera belle. You're feeling bad. Don't tell him. Not kind of money. Oh, baby, not kind of fun. La vie sera belle. Yeah, la vie sera belle. La vie sera belle. Chacun à son tour aura son amour. La vie sera belle, la vie sera belle. La vie sera belle, chacun dans le monde aura son bonheur.
Rabat International Airport. So we will bring a little bit of this one. So this image, this video is just 2 days. So looking at our roads, especially our RA highway. So let's have this here, and then we want to show somebody recorded this. Capturing all this from on social media. It can be live because it's live here. know exactly this is Liberia. So that is why I want to show this one. I'm gonna go right into it right now. Do it. Okay.
Students came out and welcome the arrival of the former president. Cheering the arrival of the former president. We are all the way back here. So a lot of things are really from there. We can say we are almost one of the last people in the convoy.
Live and let. You want to get at least 100 followers who can go on Amina itself. Let me move from my page. You don't get that. You can go live.
I think the construction have now paused. Because since we could be at the now, and on our way back, we have this machine around here that are used by the company that is actually
This one wins the series. Struck out with the cheap seats. Important things aren't worth compromising. At Farmers, we offer both quality insurance and great savings. Here, take mine. We are Farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
These dishes just aren't getting clean.
Problem isn't your machine. It's likely your detergent. I recommend switching to Cascade Platinum Plus. These pods dissolve completely and have Dawn, breaking down up to 100% of tough stuck-on foods. Cascade Platinum Plus.
Welcome the arrival of I can see we are now part of the program. At first we were here, we are part of the
Looks like trouble in paradise as the hottest festival of the year has flamed down.
You wanted to attend the music festival of the year. What you got was half a slice of cheese and a glass.
tembo sobeasa. Mansakaya la mansaya, waditiba waditiana. Bella lila, bella le bolokolona. Kana jone man, te jogi man, kana jone man, kana jogi man, kana jone man, te jogi man, kana jone man, kana jogi man.
Today we're talking about both. I'd like to have him stop buying any oil from Russia while Russia continues this rampage against Ukraine. And they've been fighting. They've lost millions of lives already. And for what? You know, for what? It's disgraceful. And I said yesterday, let it keep going because their economy is absolutely terrible right now. And I think it's a shame that they're doing that, killing a lot of people unnecessarily. 7,818 people were killed last week, mostly military people, their people and Ukrainians. More Russians actually than Ukraine, a little bit more. But it's such a waste of human life. And so he ought to stop. Putin ought to stop. And with that, we'll get to a little bit of a discussion. We're going to make some great trade deals for both countries. We do a lot of business with Turkey. They build great products. They build beautiful, great products, really fantastic manufacturers. And we buy a lot from them and they buy a lot from us. Would you have any questions, please?
You repeatedly called out Obama and Biden administrations for their stupid decisions. One example you gave was refusal to sell the Patriot missile defense systems to Turkey, which resulted in the expulsion of the country from their F-35 program. Now, you are known to be a great deal maker in Turkey. What can you do to undo this stupidity? Yes, CNN show.
CNN? Because you sounded like a nice guy, but CNN is fake news. But you sound like the real deal to me, so I'll answer the question. We're going to be discussing the Patriot system, which is the best system. We'll discuss that. We're going to discuss the F-35. We'll be discussing all of the things that you know about and that some of that you mentioned. And I think he'll be successful with buying the things he'd like to buy.
What concrete steps can you say?
Well, we'll have to see. We haven't even started yet. But I know he wants the F-35, and he's wanted that, and we're talking about that very seriously. And the F-16, we're in great shape. Certain other things he needed, as you know, and I'm going to see to it that we get that to him.
Sorry guys, we got some internet problem. So we're trying to solve it. We still come back to the sharing. We want to bring back our news here. Tom is being interviewed. We want to bring it.
Could be very soon. If we have a good meeting, almost immediately.
Erdogan is removing tariffs on U.S. goods, and what impact it would be in U.S. production?
Where are you from?
Turkey.
I see. We have a lot of people from Turkey here. That's good, because I like the questions very much, actually. They're very nice questions. And we'll see about tariffs. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
You already removed that.
Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Even if not all NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil?
We're going to be seeing about that. The NATO countries were disappointing in that regard, but they've been very amazing in other ways. They did, as you know, they went from 2% to 5% GDP, and that's a big step, and it's paid. I mean, they have the money there. And we're selling a tremendous amount of military equipment to NATO. We're selling. We're not giving like Biden did. We're selling it to NATO, and it's a lot. They're buying a lot, and I assume they're giving it to Ukraine. They could buy it for other reasons too, but I assume they're giving most of it to Ukraine. But they're buying highly sophisticated weaponry, and they're paying for it full price. And that's how we're involved. Biden gave $350 billion. Look, this war would have never started if I were president. If I were president, this war would never be happened. Would have never happened. Yeah.
Mr. President, I would like to ask about Gaza. Are you on the same page, Mr. Erdogan, for Palestine, Israel?
Well, I don't know his stance. I can't tell you about that. I just say that we want to get Gaza over with. I had a great meeting with the leaders of that area, of that region, generally speaking, the Middle East. We had a great meeting the other day at UNGA, as you know, and I think we're close to getting some kind of a deal done. Yeah, we want to get the hostages back. I have to get the hostages back. We're the ones that got the hostages, all of them that we have now. But it looks like there are 20 living hostages and probably 38 or so dead hostages. Pretty sad. And the parents of those dead souls, those dead, mostly men, boys, many cases like literally boys, they want those bodies back so badly, as much as though they were alive. And so we had a very good meeting with the representatives of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, and I think we're going to be close to a deal.
Right. We noticed that in the Ukrainian war and during the Israeli-Iran war, the airspace of the NATO countries is very fragile, and it needs to be stronger. And in that sense, Turkey being the second largest army in NATO, it needs to support its air force and air defense. How do you look at this issue in general as a NATO?
Well, we support them. I mean, we're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything. And now they're paying 5%, and they paid. And that's trillions of dollars. You know, we're talking about trillions of dollars. And they're spending that, giving that money to us, and we are giving them great defensive, you know, the Patriots and all of the different javelins, all the different missile systems and everything else that they want. But it's, you know, it's trillions of dollars. So we appreciate that they did that. So they went from 2% to 5% of GDP, and that was something that nobody even would bring up. Biden should have brought it up a long time ago, because under Biden, we paid $350 billion, and all it did is make things worse. So we'll see how it goes.
35 fighter jets, F-35s.
Yeah, we're talking about the fighter jets for Turkey. Yes, we are.
Are we going to see any steps going to be taken today about the issue, about the things that are going on in the Gaza, Palestine? Are we going to?
It could be today. Yeah, could be today. We have a very strong dialogue going on with Saudi Arabia. With, I would say, you have 4 or 5 real leaders that are being good. As you know, I met with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. We met with Jordan. The King of Jordan was there. We had a really great meeting. I think a lot was determined at that meeting. And I have to meet with Israel, and I have to do that also. They know what I want, and I think we can get that one done. I hope we can get it done. A lot of people are dying. But we want the hostages back. We don't want them back 1 this week, 1 and 2 months from now, 3 later, and you know, like the way it's been going. We got them all back. We got a lot of them back. We got the American Alexander. We got the American hostages back. But we have now 20 plus 38 bodies, dead bodies, and we want them all back. We want them back at one time. Do I think what? I don't know if he'll help in that. I don't really think we have, I don't think it'll be necessary in this case. I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. There are a lot of people that want that done. I met with great leaders. Look, you saw the people that were there, and great leaders. Egypt was also represented. We met with the leaders of that part of the world, and they want to see if they can get something done. And I'm going to have to tell Israel, let's go. We want to get the hostages back. Everybody wants to see that war over with, by the way. Everybody. So we're going to see what.
Do not pay your next car insurance bill. Repeat, do not pay your bill yet.
So I found this website and look at the difference.
$271 a month. I thought that this was the best that they could do. Don't even look anywhere else. This is the best price, right? Wrong. Now look at my new price. $50 a month for 2 cars. I'm even covered if they steal my cars, and I didn't have to deal with any annoying insurance agents. So many insurance companies do this, you guys. They push our rates up and make us pay even more. So if you want to try this website, I put the link below. It took 2 minutes, super fast. You've got to trust me on this. Just try it out.
Like 1 million soldiers. And with all of the heavy bombardment over the last 2 weeks, they've gained almost no land. Think of that. They've gained almost no land. And I'm not going to ever call anybody a paper tiger, but Russia spent millions and millions of dollars in bombs, missiles, ammunition, and lives, their lives, and they've gained virtually no land. I think it's time to stop. I really do.
walk good talk. Ain't got time for much your talk. Get my problems, so yeah, where to take my troubles away. And I go have my head. I just want your leg. Tell the shisha, man, the chick. In the go and bring fire. I just want collect, yeah. Like I want to anymore. Happen as long as you so man, you get your own anytime. I just want be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. I just want be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. I just want be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. When I wake up in the morning, praise God, make my blessing never stop. Even in about the money, no one ever gonna pick a call. Good vibes and energy. Yes, for me and my G's, yeah. Me just wanna be happy. Me no more in my lane. I do my hustle when I don't complain. Oh, and I'm not stressing. I wanna, yeah. Raise the glasses in the air. I just want to be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. I just want to be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. I just want to be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh. I just want to be happy. Happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh, happy, oh.
Don't compromise quality insurance for savings or your time for this ad. Hit that skip button, or don't, and watch me skip.
Oh yeah, pray for me. Mama, pray for me. I'm in the jungle. I want to make money. Oh yeah, I pray for me. Oh, pray, pray.
termisi. What a photo, the lancer.